So fucking mental, as you mentioned, the journey. How mad is it that it's changed? In the way that you just communicate music. And I mean, you boys were printing records, you know, in little places in London specifically, getting down there at a weekend to make your record and bring it back. And now there's just this fucking abundance of just everything now.
Well, the commitment level of it all back then was... The first part of the commitment is spend loads of money on equipment, because you can't just get a computer and some software.
An app. Yeah.
You know, you had to invest. And then there was the commitment to learn it all, because there wasn't YouTube or anything else. So you were going into the dark. And then there was the commitment to learn how the industry worked a bit as well. So like you're saying, going to London, it's funny, I was doing a presentation to my students in Industry Week recently, and I was talking about the whole initial setup, and we had no idea really how people made music, how they released music, made records or anything. And I remember the first time someone said, you should get a track cut. I was like, what do you mean cut? And they meant getting a dub plate done. And the next thing you know, we're in the car in the Nova on our way to London, to Holloway Road, to the like real famous plate house. And you're just there, like thinking, what's going on? This is a different world, because we're from little old Lincoln.
Little sleepy.
I mean, Lincoln's different now with universities and stuff. It's expanded. It's a little bit more progressive. But back then, it was a small town.
Yeah.
So to find yourself in,
you must have been in there with like people who you had bought their records.
Yeah, we were.
That was
DJ Raps. Like, can I cut it? And I was like, what? It's like crazy. And that was like the first time we put a track onto record, and I played it at Skeg. DJ'd it at Skeg, and then got a bit of a rewind and stuff. And I think that was the moment of, wow, I really want to do this. I want to do more of this and get that reaction.
Is that, Tommy?
95,
No, a little bit, 96 maybe, yeah. 95, 96, somewhere around there, yeah.
Wow.
So it was like crazy. And that was the whole experience. And then it was like, how do you get tracks out there then? So then you'd learn about distribution and pressing and distribution deals.
So what would you do then for a distribution? What was your first move?
Well, we ended up with some random distributor called ICAS Distribution, and I remember we'd always like the chap that we'd work with. Our contact was Steve, so in the end he'd be called Steve ICAS. It was like the joke: has anybody got hold of Steve? Like this, Steve ICAS. You know what goat's like as well. Like he's turned it into like this is the guy's name.
Powerful goat.
Yeah, this will turn it into the guy's name. So his name is actually Steve ICAS, as far as we're aware, but. It was basically just sent out. We were speaking to people on the DJ scene, and it was like, you just need to hit up some distributors, send your music. If they're interested, they do a P&D deal, and it's basically 50-50. I doubt it was, because no one really knows the numbers or anything like that. But it was, they press it, they do the artwork, you do the music, you play the music out there, try and get it to DJs, they sell it, and then you get 50% of the profits. Mm-hmm. But we made money out of it. You did sell records and stuff. I'm going back to the bit that you said, how it's changed. It changed. It felt like overnight. Like
put it this way: to the money that they probably made selling 1,000 records back then, you would probably have to get, as an unknown artist, you would probably have to get 100 million streams on.
Easy.
To get anywhere close to that. Yeah,
you can get a couple of quid, 2-3 quid, maybe a bit more. Depends what sorts of deals you're on, or what the sale of records were at the time, because obviously it changed over time. So you could be a few £1,000s for that, whereas that to get a few grand now in the streaming world is,
I think it's,
you're going to have massive coverage, massive coverage.
It's mad how little money it is now, isn't it? Is it like £6 for 1,000 streams or something?
It's ridiculous. But it felt like it changed overnight. It really did, and we weren't prepared for that, and we weren't.
And when you say that, is that from vinyl to CD? I mean, because
vinyl to CD, vinyl going from physical analog. People buying the records into not so much buying CDs because for dance music and stuff, but then starting to share it and digital.
Yeah.
And it just happened overnight. And where we were getting 50-50 deals on P&D deals, then it suddenly turned into buy the track off you for 500 quid. So then you were selling tracks. I remember Louise once she always brings it up in conversation, like
your lovely wife.
My lovely wife, yeah. She was like, I remember that time when we had to pay the rent. I was like, just sell the bloody track. I was like, but I want more for it. It's worth more for it. And I think I ended up selling the track like 400 quid or something. Right. So you're like,
well, can imagine that now.
I'd take it.
I've got 23 that comes.
I'd take it now, yeah. But I mean, that was the thing, and it just changed so rapidly. And I think
what happened as well was when vinyl died, it wasn't just the fact that vinyl died. It was there's a whole community of people who used to go to record shops, and you'd be in the record shop all week listening through the tunes and stuff, meeting new people, deciding, or probably going to the raves at the weekend. All of that has pretty much died with this digital scene, because everybody's like homebound now. They don't have to go out into a store and meet.
And that's before
communicate. And
we get to the time of life we're in now as well.
I mean, there's the one positive that I'm trying to. I'm a positive guy.
Yes.
I'm a positive guy.
Powerful.
I'm trying to look at the positive part of what's better about putting music out now. Obviously, financially, it's just a joke. That's not even close. But I think one positive thing about putting something out now over putting something out then was that it was sold in record shops. Record shops only had limited space.
Yeah.
So they'd get all their batching of new tunes or whatever. DJs and that would go in there, go, cool, that's that. If you didn't sell your track or whatever, it'd slowly get pushed to the back and it'd be in a bargain bin and it's gone. Whereas now is if we put, like with Hidden by Sound, we can put all this music out over a year, 2 years. If it builds and starts to get real traction, all of that catalogue is available to people immediately. Do you know what I mean? Mm. So like, whereas then you were doing things by track, it wasn't really building so much of a legacy up with your music. Whereas now I feel like you can build something up that's there,
you can definitely
available to people.
Definitely be more creative now as well, in the sense that back then it was, if you wanted to get signed to a record label, or you wanted your record label to get a P&D deal, there would have been a specific sound or something that was doing well at the time that you would have to hit that criteria to get the deal. Do you know what I mean? Whereas obviously now the tools are in place for people to DIY quite a lot of the stuff, which is, like, it is a blessing and a curse.
I mean, that was one of our weaknesses anyway. Again, going back to, we was chatting before we started the podcast. Staying on business, keeping things like business-like rather than partying or, staying focused. And musically, we were never that focused. Mm. Danny and me, that's my older brother. We used to just make all sorts of random stuff. We got Tune of the Month once in, what was the magazine? Eternity magazine. Tune of the Month. Wow. It was on Hard Leaders, a decent label, got some good money out of it, did really well. And then the next time we just made a tune totally different. It's like, but like when I was DJing, people like, I'm trying to think, like Andy C's and stuff like that, where if you went in a record shop and you saw that, you knew what you was getting every time. Yeah. Dillinger was a big favourite of mine, old drum and bass producer. Right.
He found a sound, stuck to
it. It's dun, like it's filling.
Tight snares and
but you knew when you went in the shop, and I was going to get a Dillinger sound, and we never really played that game, and we're not playing that game now. I think it rings true to just how we are creatively.
Which is part of your trademark.